Naledi traced the cracked concrete with her sneakers, counting beats that pulsed through the warehouse like a second heart. Amapiano thudded from portable speakers, and dancers formed a loose circle around a flickering work lamp. Every time she stepped in, the city's noise fell away, no taxis, no exam timetables, just rhythm and breath. She moved, shoulders slicing air, ankles whispering over dust, until the room became her stage. When the song ended, the crew whooped. Z, the ringleader, cocked his head. Your competition material. Naledi smiled, but the word Matric hissed in her ear like a warning. She checked her cheap watch, grabbed her backpack, and sprinted for the bus stop, chased by night wind and two different futures. Johannesburg's buses coughed awake as dawn rinsed the streets. Naledi reached her school gate breathless, the uniform's collar sticking to her neck. A poster screamed Matric countdown, 28 days. Her stomach dipped. She had notes to revise, formulas to memorize, and a secret to protect. Mr. Kimolo's chalk skated across the board. Trigonometry. No distractions. He glanced over his spectacles and paused on Naledi's smudged shoes. Focus, he said quietly, softer than usual, which somehow stung more. Naledi wrote angles and ratios, but in the margin her hand drew arrows, spins, a choreography her body already knew. At home, steam fogged the tiny kitchen where Mama Tandy stirred pap and checked the electricity meter's red lights. How was school? She asked without turning. Naledi's throat tightened. Fine. The light tasted like flour. Mama slid a plate across. Fine is not a mark, Ngwana. You're bright. Don't let foolishness steal your future. Naledi nodded, swallowing. She wanted to say dance isn't foolishness, it was breath. Instead, she ate in silence, listening to the kettle hum and the city sing through the window bars. Z's text arrived during study hall, underground finals. 2 weeks. We want you on our set. Winner gets an Art Academy audition. Naledi's heartbeat climbed into her throat. Art Academy. Real training. Real stages. She pictured her mother's face, Mr. Kimolo's eyebrow lifting, the school poster counting down merciless days. She typed, I'll think about it. Then she added, when are rehearsals? The phone buzzed back, nights. Warehouse. Daily. She tucked the device under a textbook and stared at sine and cosine until they blurred into sound waves. A surprise quiz landed on her desk like a verdict. Pencils scratched, the wall clock echoed in loud ticks. Naledi read question 3 times, hearing bass lines instead of instructions. She forced herself to map sides, calculate angles. By the last minute, she scribbled an answer with a prayer. Collect, Mr. Kimolo said. When he reached her desk, his gaze softened at the smudge of graphite on her finger. You're capable, Naledi. But capability without discipline is smoke. She nodded, cheeks hot, and wished she could turn smoke into stage fog. That night, the warehouse felt sharper, air thinner with expectation. She counted them in, and the crew unfolded like a pocket knife, precise, gleaming. Naledi entered late on purpose, riding the music's backbeat, then snapped into the pocket so neatly a shout went up. She was a thread pulling the pattern tight. Afterward, Z clapped her shoulder. You're the missing piece. Naledi smiled, dizzy. Outside, the city's neon bled into puddles. She knew pieces could also be lost, between rehearsal and revision, between mother's hope and her own. Power cut. The apartment plunged into darkness mid-revision. Mama lit a candle that made the room look like a memory. Load shedding again, she sighed, rubbing her temples. Naledi angled the candle beside her notes, shadows dancing over formulas. The flame licked air, patient as a metronome. Her phone vibrated, rehearsal. She typed, can't. Studying. Then blew out the message with a second one, be there in 30 Sometimes truth was a layered rhythm, you heard different things depending on where you stood. At school, Mr. Kimolo asked Naledi to stay after class. Your quiz, he said, handing it back, 46%. Where are you every evening? The room was a held breath. Home, she lied. He watched her too long. Then he nodded toward the poster. Matric is not a gate you jump at the last moment. You build the run-up every day. Outside, Saifo leaned on the railing, an easy grin tugging at his face. Study group after school, he asked. Naledi wanted to say yes. She wanted to say stage. She said, maybe. The crew opened practice to freestyles, anyone could step in. Naledi watched a new girl pop-lock riddles into the night, sleeves flaring like punctuation. When the circle called Naledi, she rolled her shoulders and let fear slide off. Her feet traced maps of taxis and minibus routes, her hips wrote Joburg in cursive. She mixed Pansola footwork with something entirely hers, sharp then liquid, fast then still. Z's eyebrows climbed. Finals are yours to take, he said. Naledi's chest crackled with yes. Far away, a dog barked, and the city flicked its tail. At home, Mama waited with a phone bill and a look that meant, talk. You're late again. Naledi's voice came out small. Group project. Mama tapped the bill. Then your group uses a lot of data. She exhaled. I want you to pass. I want you to have choices. Dancing, she faltered, searching for a kind word and finding none. It won't feed you. Naledi's jaw set. Neither did your dreams when Gogo got sick, but you kept them. Silence pressed between them, heavy as winter coats. Mama turned away. Eat before it gets cold. Mr. Kimolo announced extra classes, mandatory. If you miss, you risk your clearance letter. Whispers ricocheted off the walls. Naledi's throat dried. The extra classes overlapped with the crew's new rehearsal times. This message lit her screen, we locked the set today. No latecomers. 2 doors, 1 key. At lunch, Saifo found her on the steps. You look like a person standing on 2 boats. She laughed despite herself. He held out neat summary notes. Take 1 boat at a time. I'll tutor you after extra classes. She stared at the notes, at his open, uncomplicated kindness, and felt something steady inside her click into place. Naledi showed for extra classes, furtive as a cat. Mr. Kimolo taught with surprising gentleness, building triangles from street corners, from soccer fields, from taxi ranks. Maths began to feel like choreography, steps that led somewhere if you trusted them. When class ended, she ran, legs burning, bag thumping, to the warehouse. The door was locked. From inside, bass roared like thunder. Ze cracked it open an inch. You're late. She met his eyes. Teach me the new section. I'll make up the time. He studied her, then tugged the door wider. Last chance. She stepped into the music, heart split and stubborn, and began again. Naledi copied Saifo's revision notes until the blue ink formed rivers. He quizzed her gently, turning theorems into stories, triangles as rooftops, gradients as hills on Villacosi Street. For the first time, math didn't feel like a wall, it felt like a pattern she could dance. When she reached the warehouse later, the pattern broke. She introduced a razor-sharp sequence, hills, pivot, drop, freeze. No hesitation, he warned. Naledi's thighs burned, her lungs sparked. 2 words kept tugging, but tonight, both felt almost reachable. School corridors hissed with rumor. Someone had posted a grainy clip of Naledi dancing, face half hidden, but the comment thread guessed anyway. Is that Naledi from 12B? Matric and parties. Wild. She felt eyes stick to her like bears. Mr. Kimolo paused by her desk. Audit tomorrow. I'll ask 5 questions from last year's paper. The message under his words was clear, show me your choices. Naledi breathed slow, trying to steady both her feet and her reputation. In an empty classroom, chalk dust hanging like cloud, Mr. Kimolo read each question flatly. Naledi walked, paused loud, sipping courage from steps she'd rehearsed with Saifo. She made 2 small errors, caught them, and corrected. He scanned her paper. Better, he said, almost smiling. Discipline turned sparks into light. As she left, her phone buzzed. Dress rehearsal. Tomorrow. Midnight. She closed her eyes, counting breaths like beats. The crew were black with flashes of neon tape. Under the lamp, they looked like lightning stitched to bodies. Z ran the set without stopping. Naledi missed a freeze, then nailed the recovery so clean the circle snapped their fingers in approval. Outside afterward, Code nipped her collarbone. Saifo waited by the fence, backpack slung. I brought you past papers, he said, not asking where she'd been. She took them, heart heavy with gratitude, and promised herself she wouldn't drop either lifeline. Mama found the past papers and the neon tape in Naledi's drawer. You're dancing at night. Her voice was low, the dangerous quiet. Naledi's reply tumbled out, Art Academy, scholarships, auditions. Mama's eyes shone with tired anger. Dreams also cost rent. She set an ultimatum, no more nights until exams finish. Naledi nodded with lips, not with bones, and felt the floor tilt under a secret she wasn't ready to bury. Dress rehearsal part 2 ended in sirens. Security guards stormed the warehouse, shouting about permits and noise complaints. Dancers scattered like marbles. Z grabbed the speaker, Naledi grabbed the choreography in her head and ran. They regrouped in an alley behind a fish shop. We'll shift to the taxi rank lot, Z decided. Quieter. No lights. Naledi rubbed goose flesh from her forearms, realizing that even the dark had a price. Under sodium lamps and idling engines, the crew rehearsed on oil-slick tar. Music became a murmur through one earbud each, traded like contraband. Naledi learned to mark steps without sound, counting by the blink of indicator lights. When a minibus pulled too close, everyone sprang aside, reforming the shape as soon as it rolled away. Risk sharpened them. Afterwards, she studied on the car by headlights, angles glowing in ghostly white. Fatigue made the ground treacherous. On a fast pivot, Naledi's sneaker skidded, ankle twisting just enough to sting. I'm fine, she lied, swallowing the flare. Z watched her with a captain's worry. Tape it. Or sit out. She taped and danced. Later, at home, she dunked her ankle in cold water and revised limits, whispering formulas through clenched teeth. Pain taught its own arithmetic, every choice added somewhere and subtracted elsewhere. A message pinged from a junior coach at the Art Academy, saw your clip. If you win finals, I push for a formal audition slot. Keep clean technique. Naledi reread it until the words grew soft. Doorways were opening. She tucked the phone away when Mama entered. They ate in careful quiet. How's revision? Mama asked. I'm trying, Naledi said, which was true, and not enough, and everything she could manage. At practice, someone accidentally shifted her place marks. On the run-through, Naledi crashed the diagonal and clipped elbows with the new girl. The circle rippled with awkward silence. Z's jaw tightened. Reset. During break, the new girl shrugged. Maybe if you weren't late so often, Naledi tasted iron and backed away, choosing to save her rage for the routine. When the music returned, she danced so precisely the marks didn't matter. School ran a full mock week. Hall clocks clicked like small guillotines, pages turned like wings. Naledi wrote, checked, rewrote. Saifo met her after each paper with a banana and a joke, elastic kindness catching her fall. On Friday, Mr. Kumolo posted results. Naledi's math score climbed to 68. He nodded once, approval like a stamp. The relief didn't erase the bruise of exhaustion, but it made the bruise feel earned. Finals, 7 days. The underground finals, 6. The calendar became a chessboard where every square demanded a piece of her. She tightened rehearsals. Mr. Kimolo extended office hours. Mama counted coins and hopes. Naledi stood on the school field at sunset, ankle taped, brain buzzing. She whispered to the wind, "I will not choose more." Then she opened her notes, marked the beats, and began a slow, stubborn rehearsal of both futures at once. Rain hammered the classroom roof as Naledi and Saifo spread notes across 2 desks. They turned calculus into call and response, drawing graphs like dance acts. Saifo's patience steadied her. Mistakes became steps to revise, not failures to fear. During a break, Saifo hesitated. "I know about the warehouse," he said softly. Naledi's shoulders tensed. "How?" He pulled out a flyer someone slipped into his locker. "I'm not here to stop you. I'm here to keep you upright." The relief was a warm light in a wet day. She instituted a no-phone policy after rumors of leaks. "We protect the set," he said, dropping a box for devices. Naledi surrendered hers, uneasy. The new girl smacked and danced with fierce precision, slicing through the routine like a blade. Without the tether of notifications, Naledi fell deeper into the music. The choreography grew cleaner, and so did her fear, clean enough to be seen, clean enough to be punished by anyone watching. Mama called the school to confirm extra class schedules. Mr. Kimolo answered honestly, then paused, cautious. "She's attending," he said, "and improving." When Mama asked about late nights, his silence was a crack in the wall. That evening, Mama set tea on the table. "Your teacher says you're trying." Her voice held an olive branch. Naledi swallowed. "I'm also dancing for a scholarship." The word hung like a fragile ornament. Mama stared at her, love and worry wrestling without a referee. They forged a truce, study until 9, rehearsal afterward only on alternate nights, Sundays for rest and church. Naledi hugged her mother, gratitude like a second spine. It wasn't perfect, but it was a bridge. She grumbled at the new limits yet kept Naledi's center placement. "Deliver," he warned. "If you miss a cue, I rotate you out." She nodded, knowing the pact cost her speed but bought her soul. At a pop-up street session, dancers wore paper masks to avoid trouble. The circle pulsed with rain-slick bravery. Naledi stepped in, balancing power with control, refusing the flash that could injure her ankle. A masked rival mirrored her, then tried to bait a risky drop. Naledi pivoted to a safer freeze, crisp and deliberate. The crowd's approval was quieter but deeper. She learned something essential: restraint could roar louder than recklessness. Mock results came in for other subjects. English, 74. Life Sciences, 70. Math held at 68. She breathed out, tension slowing like dust after rain. Mr. Kimolo passed her with a nod that felt like a medal. Saifo high-fived her outside the hall. "You're building the run-up," he said, echoing their teacher. Naledi glanced at the sky, a slice of blue between clouds, and believed the jump might be possible. A sleek promo for the underground finals hit social media, featuring a silhouette that was obviously Naledi. Comments exploded. Some classmates cheered, others jeered. Someone tagged the school page. Trouble was now wearing a neon sign. Mr. Kimolo called her in. "You didn't share this." She shook her head. He sighed, fatigue leaking through his professionalism. "I won't police your dreams. But if this jeopardizes exams, I will protect your future, even from you." He drew a timetable on the board: office hours, past paper clinics, exam countdowns. "Choose your lines and stay within them," he said, chalk tapping rhythms like a metronome. Naledi photographed the timetable in her mind and mapped it onto her rehearsal slots. At night, the crew chalked their own lines in the taxi lot, spacing marks, entrance acts. 2 choreographies, 2 chalk-scored fields, and Naledi moving between them like a courier of hope. They added a duet lift that required trust. Naledi partnered with the new girl, whose grip was steel. On the second run, the lift wobbled. Again, Z snapped. "You two are the hinge. If you creak, the door won't open." They drilled until palms burned. After, the new girl muttered, "Don't drop me on finals night." Naledi met her eyes. "I won't drop you. Don't drop me either." A truce, thin as fishing line, held. A real fire alarm emptied the school. On the field, students sprawled and laughed. Naledi reviewed steps under her breath, marking with fingers. Saifo watched, amused. "You rehearse during emergencies." She grinned. "Discipline turns sparks into light," she said, borrowing their teacher's line. He laughed. "Now you're dangerous." When the all clear sounded, she felt sharper, like flames had burned off hesitation. Danger could clarify. So could practice. The Arts Academy coach messaged again, "Judges hate sloppy transitions, on every between moment." Naledi rewired the routine seams, eyeline here, breath there, a tiny shoulder echo after a freeze. The dance began to speak full sentences. At school, she did the same to her math solutions, labeling steps, annotating logic. When processes made sense, panic receded. Confidence wasn't loud, it was tidy. Schedules collided, the underground finals landed the night before her first written exam. She insisted they'd finish by 10, Mr. Kimolo warned that adrenaline would wreck sleep. Mama, caught between them, looked at Naledi. "What do you choose?" Naledi stared at the calendar until it doubled. Then she lifted her chin. "Both," she said, voice steady. "We'll engineer it." She laid out a plan: power nap, timed meals, blackout curtains, a dawn wake-up with Saifo quizzing her over rooibos. 2 boats, yes. But she'd learned to widen her stance. The crew gathered in the lot under flickering lamps, nerves twitching like wires. Z backed counts, Naledi marked her lines, anchor-wrapped but steady. On the lift sequence, the new girl slipped. Both crashed hard, palms skidding. A ripple of panic surged through the crew. "I'm fine," Naledi insisted, flexing fingers. The new girl looked away, guilt etched in her jaw. Z rubbed his temples. "Tomorrow is finals. No mistakes." They ran the set again, sweat staining tar, hearts pounding like thunder before a storm. Back home, Naledi iced her wrist while Saifo read equations aloud. The silence between questions held more weight than the answers. Her eyelids fought gravity, but Saifo nudged gently, "One more. Imagine you're dancing through the solution." She laughed, despite exhaustion, and traced the slope of a line like a spin. Numbers became rhythm again. When she finally collapsed into sleep, formulas and choreography tangled in her dreams. Morning brought church bells and Mama's quiet prayer. She kissed Naledi's forehead, voice steady but eyes watery. "God gave you 2 gifts, your mind and your feet. Use both wisely." Naledi hugged her tight, inhaling strength like incense. That evening, Naledi packed 2 bags, one with textbooks and snacks, one with sneakers and tape. She stood at the door, heart hammering. "Tomorrow decides everything," she whispered to herself, and stepped into the night. The venue pulsed with bodies and bass, a converted parking garage vibrating with anticipation. Crews painted their names on cardboard, spectators roared. Z's team huddled. "Clean. Precise. Unstoppable," he said. Naledi closed her eyes, listening for the count inside her chest. When the light snapped on them, they exploded, heels, pivots, freezes slicing the air. Naledi's body hummed with electricity, every step a stitched thread in a greater tapestry. The crowd leaned in, breathless. She felt invincible. The rival crew entered, all swagger and fire, blending crump with intricate tricks. Midway, their leader pointed at Naledi like a challenge. The circle howled. She whispered, "Take it." Naledi stepped forward, unleashing a fusion, pansala footwork, omopiano bounce, and a freeze held so still it looked like sculpture. The crowd erupted, stomping the floor. Judges nodded, scribbling fast. She caught the rival's eye, saw respect hidden under scowl, and grinned. Final set piece, the duet lift. Naledi locked eyes with the new girl. The world hushed. Together, they executed the lift with grace sharp as glass, bodies rising as one. The audience gasped, then roared. When they landed, sweat slick and triumphant, the crew bowed in sync. Z's smile broke wide. We gave them a storm. Naledi's heart swelled, this was the dance of her life. Judges conferred. Drum roll silence. Winners, the crew. The venue erupted. Naledi clutched her teammates, tears mixing with sweat. Cameras flashed, a scout approached Z, slipping him a card. Call us. Academy wants her. Naledi's phone buzzed with Saifo's reminder, sleep now. Exam in 8 hours. She inhaled deeply. From one battlefield to the next. The victory tasted sweet, but responsibility loomed like morning sun. Back home, Naledi tried to shut her eyes. Adrenaline refused. Every cheer replayed. She forced herself to breathe, reciting math formulas like lullabies. Slowly, her heartbeat eased. She drifted for 2 hours, dreams buzzing with numbers and neon. At dawn, Saifo arrived with rooibos and toast. Rise, champion, he whispered. She smiled weakly. Champion with eye bags. Together they reviewed past papers until the taxi honked outside. Rows of desks stretched like a battlefield. Invigilators proud. Naledi gripped her pen, inhaled, and opened the paper. First question, trigonometry, her weakest. Her pulse spiked. She closed her eyes, imagined Saifo's voice and Mr. Kimolo's chalk. Step by step, she built the solution. An hour in, rhythm replaced fear. She danced across the page, steady and deliberate. Sweat beaded her forehead, but every answer clicked like choreography hitting beat. When papers were collected, Naledi sagged in her chair. Outside, friends buzzed about answers, some confident, others groaning. Saifo caught her eye. You did it. She nodded, too drained to speak. Relief spread through her like sunlight. But whispers about her dance win had already reached school. Teachers exchanged looks. Some students clapped her back, others muttered. She walked through it all, chin high, unwilling to shrink. Mr. Kimolo called her aside. You danced last night. His tone wasn't angry, just waited. Naledi held his gaze. I did. And I wrote today. He studied her face, then sighed. You risked much. But perhaps, you've proved discipline in both arenas. I pray you keep balancing. For the first time, his sternness softened into admiration. Naledi blinked back sudden tears. That evening, the Arts Academy emailed, formal audition invitation next month. Naledi screamed into her pillow, joy bursting like fireworks. Mama peeked in, worried. Naledi showed her the screen. Silence stretched. Then Mama's shoulders eased. If you can pass exams and earn this, maybe both dreams can live, Mama whispered. Naledi hugged her fiercely. For once, the future didn't feel like a trap, it felt like a door swinging wide. The morning after the first exam, Naledi's body felt like borrowed furniture, useful but not quite fitting. She iced her wrist, stretched her ankle, and opened another past paper. The victory glow from the finals faded into the quiet grind of revision. Saipho quizzed her under the jacaranda tree where purple blossoms freckled their notes. "One mark at a time," he said. The mantra steadied her pulse. She solved an identity proof, exhaled, and let the satisfaction sink in, small, clean, durable. At rehearsal, the new girl hovered, then blurted, "I'm sorry for the shade. You held the lift when I shook." Naledi nodded, relief loosening her shoulders. "We held it together." They ran the duet once, crisp as glass. Z watched, thumbs hooked in his pockets. "That's how teammates talk," he said. He split them for drills, pairing strengths with gaps. The crew felt less like a fuse ready to blow and more like a circuit carrying steady current. Mr. Kimolo caught Naledi after class with a plain envelope. "A reference," he said, clearing his throat. "For the academy. It mentions discipline learned the long way." Naledi smiled so wide it hurt. At home, Mama spread bills on the table, transport to auditions, proper shoes, a registration fee. "We'll manage," she said, the word holding a fierce prayer. Naledi looked at her frayed purse and felt a vow bloom. If a door opened, she'd pull her mother through it too. During a sunset run-through, Naledi's ankle flared hot, sharp, warning pain. She stopped, breath snagging. "Sit," Z ordered, voice leaving no room for pride. He wrapped a joint, gaze tight with worry. Strong doesn't mean stupid. At home, Saipho arrived with resistance bands and a printed rehab plan. They worked gently, flex, point, alphabet in the air. "You're not fragile," he said, "just a system that needs care." For the first time, self-preservation felt like strength, not cowardice. The calculus paper opened like a trap. 2 questions snarled, unfamiliar. Naledi's throat closed. She shut her eyes and pictured choreography counts, slowed the music, marked the steps. She mapped the problem spine, then filled in muscle. By the final minutes, answers formed with tidy inevitability. When the bell rang, she was damp with effort but not fear. Panic had knocked, process had opened a different door. To fund the audition trip, the crew staged a sanctioned street performance at a Saturday market. Mama sold fat cook beside them, smiling shyly as Naledi spun. Coins clinked, phones filmed, toddlers danced with reckless knees. After, Z counted earnings. Transport, shoes, covered, he grinned. Mama pressed a note into Naledi's palm anyway. "For luck," she said. Exhaustion tasted sweet when it carried purpose. Z found Naledi coiling cables in the dim warehouse. "When I was your age," he said quietly, "I chose dance and ghosted school. The stage loved me. Ren did not." He set the coil down. "Finish. Then fly." Naledi held his gaze. "I'm trying to do both." He nodded, pride and worry braided in his eyes. "Then let's keep the sky open and the ground steady." The blessing landed like a mantle. Exams ended with a soft, stunned silence. No bells, no fireworks, just the city exhaling. Naledi slept, then woke to a blank day and a full inbox. The academy confirmed audition dates and requirements, prepared solo, technique class, and an interview. She printed the list and taped it beside Mr. Kimolo's timetable, 2 columns of her double life. Saipho slid a smoothie across the table. "New face," he said. She lifted the glass like a toast. New face. The academy studio smelled like rosin and nerves. Mirrors multiplied every floor. Naledi warmed up, then stepped into her solo, a hymn to Johannesburg, minibus footwork, piano roll, and the stillness of a city at dawn. The panelists murmured, intrigued. In technique class, she fought for clean lines, translating street vocabulary into ballet grammar without losing grit. Sweat salted her lips. Fear sat beside her performance, but respect began to nod from the front row. A gray-haired examiner folded his hands. Why dance, when you're clearly capable academically? Naledi met his eyes. Because both teach me discipline. Math taught me structure, dance taught me breadth. I'm my best when they speak to each other. Another asked about community. Naledi saw Mama's stall, Z's warnings, Saifo's notes. I want to build bridges, she said. Scholarship or not, I teach free Saturday classes at the warehouse. The room warmed a degree. Purpose was a language everyone understood. The school courtyard thrummed as results posted. Naledi's fingers shook. Mathematics, 76. A laugh escaped her, wet and incredulous. Mr. Kumalo clasped her shoulder, pride breaking his stern mask. Light, he said simply. At home, Mama cried into the dish towel, then danced a small, embarrassed jig. The email pinged that evening, Academy, offer of admission plus partial scholarship. Naledi read it twice, then a third time, heart thundering like bass at the finals. 2 doors, both open. Naledi stood in the warehouse, now bright with fresh paint and borrowed mirrors. Kids lined up in mismatched sneakers, buzzing. She adjusted the speaker, Saifo taped the sign-up sheet to the wall. Mama passed paper cups of juice, commander of refreshments and joy. Naledi's phone buzzed with the academy's schedule and a note from Mr. Kumalo, proud of you. Keep the run-up steady. She pocketed the phone and clapped for attention. Welcome to Saturday sessions, she said. We'll learn steps, and we'll learn discipline. Music swelled, tiny feet tried, failed, tried again. When the class ended, she locked the door and looked at the city simmering in twilight, the life she'd chosen, not as either /or, but as both /and. Her mind and her feet, fluent at last in the same language, carried her forward.